Hey everyone, welcome back. We all heard earlier this year that if you wanted to visit the US for more than 30 days, you now had to fill out this stupid form and get your fingerprints and biometrics done before entering. Well, December 26th is when this new ruling is supposed to come into play. Or is it? Today I have a few reports that talk about this, and we'll go over them together, because it is giving a bit of mixed messages. I also have another report showing more US citizens coming to Canada, who are now just discovering things are cheaper here because of the exchange rate. I'm not shitting you. I'm a bit shocked that some US citizens don't understand this. But then again, I understand their education system is also different. So we'll watch this one together too. Today's backdrop comes from Peter, all the way from Brussels, Belgium. He took this photo at the Brussels Christmas Fair, which has a Canadian-themed booth that he and many others have been supporting on a yearly basis. Peter, I thank you on behalf of many Canadians for standing by us and supporting Canadian products. I hope to go to Belgium next year for an event, but I guess that will depend on whether my wife and I can get tickets. I really appreciate you sending us over. All right, let's get started.
Had been nothing but routine for Angela and Lee Faubert, but their latest crossing in November was a little different.
We were nervous when we were about to cross.
Lee was fingerprinted, his photo was taken, and he was told to fill out an I-94 form in order to enter the U.S.
It was good, except for I got to get fingerprinted, but I mean, the picture was okay, but the fingerprinted thing was a little bit excessive, I think.
Excessive, yes, but in my opinion, mainly because the government will most likely weaponize the data for whatever purpose they want to use it for. And let's also not forget what other data they're taking from you the second you cross the border. So keep an eye out for those construction markers, because smile, you're on camera.
Canadians going to the States for more than 30 days must register for their visit through an I-94 form, but some Canadians who have already traveled to the States and filled out the correct forms said they didn't even need it.
Customs officer said, "What are you flagging this paper around for? This is our I-94. She said, "It's business as usual. You don't need that form filled out."
She also said that the only way you could get in trouble if you stay longer than the 6 months days allowed.
So hang on a second. Now the border guard is saying that we do not need this form, and that Canadians would only get in trouble if they stay for more than 6 months. So which is it? This is exactly the kind of scenario that's going to get a lot of snowbirds who continue to go to the US in trouble. And here's why. They're going to watch this CTV report. They're going to go down without completing the form. They might get into the country. And then suddenly you're at risk of overstaying the 30-day policy. In my opinion, there's way too many things that could go wrong, especially if the CBP border guards do not even know themselves what the ruling is. And you know who's going to love this kind of confusion? ICE. They'll probably start looking for Canadians who did not fill out the form to help fill up their daily quotas. Either way, this is not something I'm going to entertain or even be a part of. There's absolutely nothing I want to see in the States bad enough that I would go and be forced to carry my passport everywhere I go. If you agree with me on this, hit the like button below. And if you agree with me and you're not subscribed, or YouTube automatically unsubbed you for whatever reason, hit that subscribe button. It really does help the channel reach more people and gets this message out there as well.
With the confusion and changing political climate, others like Eric Fagan, who spent his winters in Florida, has canceled his plans altogether, calling it a tough decision.
We regret that we're not going down. In a sense, we met some great people, some great Americans, some great Canadians at the RV parks we stayed at, and we enjoyed our stay down there.
But no matter the situation, one immigration lawyer says it's important to be prepared.
Yes, there's additional scrutiny, but at the end of the day, if you're being honest and you're being truthful and you have a plan in hand, then you should not face any issues entering.
Both couples we spoke to say the process of going into the U.S. wasn't as bad as they thought, but hope there's more clarity and consistency for what's expected of Canadians crossing the border.
Now, I'm glad this last person is not going to the United States anymore, for whatever his reasons might be. But he also repeated something that Dee mentioned in my last interview. It's tough to leave friends behind you made in the United States. And I'm guessing it's a big reason why many still travel south. But for me, I also have a lot of friends in the US. Thankfully, the ones I keep in touch with are on the side of Canada. But even then, I tell them I cannot visit. Because for me, it would go against my values. All right, let's move on to the next report. It's still from CTV, but this one has an interview with it.
With me now is Warren Kreitz, certified specialist in immigration law. Warren, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So these new measures at the U.S. border include things like mandatory fingerprinting and photographs. Let's start here. What do you make of all of this?
Well, the name of the executive order to which you referred, which was signed by President Trump in January 20th of this year, is called Protecting the American People Against Invasion. So it's got a pretty embellished title.
Is it really that embellished? Because after reading this, it honestly does not seem that far off from what the government really wants. Just saying.
Canada's included in the list now. We used to be exempt from almost everything. But Canadians, and I mean Canadian citizens, including permanent residents, are now required to register. I mean, the adjudication at the border is a lot more thorough, a lot more detailed, and perhaps at times a lot more hostile. There's two reasons for this. One is the Trump administration is requiring U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers to be that way. But it's also because there are fewer travelers, which means these same officers have more time to spend on each examination. That is to say, each person presenting in front of them.
More time to be complete pricks to anyone they may not like, or judged based on profiling. Trump basically gave the CBP guards a free pass to rain terror on anyone coming into their country. And just on a side note, I honestly wonder how many school bullies, who never amounted to much after graduation, decided to be a CBP guard. Or nowadays, an ICE agent. I'm gonna guess that there's a lot.
Now, we're already hearing stories of confusion over the new rules. Some travelers have already gotten conflicting information about forms that they have to fill out versus not fill out. What do Canadians need to know before crossing the border?
Well, as before, and this has been true for a very long time, Canadians need to be prepared. And being prepared means bring documents to authenticate, to verify, to corroborate the oral examination, the questions, the answers. Border officers want to see third-party authentication or verification. So they want to see that Canadians are domiciled in Canada, that is to say they're living here, and they're going to America for a temporary purpose, which will be explained by the traveler. But the traveler needs to take documents, proof of, their domicile, their home, their rent, their tax paid, their bank accounts so that they're self-sustaining, any and all documents that demonstrate that their pied-à-terre, this is a French term for their foot on the ground, is more centered in Canada than anywhere else.
Tax documents, rent documents, and bank account documents. What else do they need? My blood type? That's a lot of paperwork just to sit in a home in Florida and try to enjoy yourself. If you ask me, it sounds a whole lot easier and a whole lot nicer to go somewhere like Mexico, Spain, or Portugal. But hey, I guess this is what our quote-unquote friend needs from us now. Now I want to ask our US viewers watching this, if the situation was reversed, and Canada was going to ask you for all of those documents plus your left arm, would you still come to visit Canada? I'm pretty sure the answer would be no. It's just all starting to get a bit ridiculous.
And they're only going to the States for a temporary purpose. So make the job easy for the U.S. border officer. I always use a term in my law practice called feed the baby the pablum. Just give the officer everything that they need to make their job easy, and the border crossing should go smooth and easy.
All right. If someone runs into a snag, what should they do?
Well, listen to the reasons why there is a snag. And if you want to try a second time, don't go to another border crossing. That's not appreciated by U.S. border officers. Don't just drive down the border and go to another place or go to another airport. Leave. You're allowed usually to remove your application for entry. Go and get the documents that the officer is saying have been missing or deficient, and try a second time. And get professional advice if you feel you need it.
Some good advice for us, Warren. Thank you very much for your time today. Appreciate it. That is Warren Kreitz.
It's a bit odd to me to hear all of these tips and tactics on how to try to get into the United States, when mentally I want nothing to do with them anymore. But hey, everyone's free to do what they want. Just do not complain to the media or anyone else if you end up in a situation at the border, or even once you're inside the US. Just like Mr. D said in my interview with him a few days ago, no one is immune. Now, the last part I want to show, which actually talks about US citizens coming to Canada. And hey, I welcome them. We have never had any issues with US citizens coming to Canada, and I still don't, unless you're wearing a red hat. But honestly, it mind boggles me that some US citizens need to be taught about the exchange rate. So yeah, let's check this one out.
We get a lot of Americans that shop with us on a regular basis.
At Whiskey Jack Boutique in the heart of Windsor, owner Katie Stokes is used to seeing customers from across the river, and lately she says they're coming with one thing in mind, the strong US dollar.
Sometimes it's a surprise, which is always fun, to give them that piece of information where they realize everything is basically 30% off.
Yeah. It's cute.
And for visitors like Brittany Ocampo, that extra buying power adds up quickly.
I came out to Canada to celebrate a friend's birthday.
For her, Whiskey Jack was just one stop on a Canadian shopping spree.
She showed me like the difference in currency if I wanted to do Canadian dollars or US dollars, and it was about a $30 to $40 difference there. I was really surprised.
Okay, I'm honestly surprised that this surprises you. And I'm not shaming this woman at all, because it's probably the same sentiment for a lot of average US citizens. I mean, a good majority of them have never left their county or even their state. So I would not really expect them to have much experience dealing with the exchange rate. But still, isn't this stuff taught in school at all?
You have to take a number of things into account.
Economist Dr. Joseph Eisenhower says cross-border shopping can look different depending on which side you're coming from.
How much are you going to pay in tolls crossing the border? How much are you going to pay in the exchange rate conversion fee?
Things like tolls and conversion fees can shrink savings for Americans.
Okay, so this report is out of Windsor, Ontario. And I'll admit, I've never crossed into the US over there. Out west, we don't have any tolls to pay to get into Blaine at the Peace Arch. But I'm wondering, how much are these tolls to get into Canada and then back into the US? Because honestly, I wouldn't imagine them to be that expensive, or that it would really dip into the savings that much for US citizens. So can someone tell me, are this guy's concerns about the tolls and the exchange rate fees actually legit?
And they're part of the reason many Canadians have stopped making trips in the other direction. The Canadian dollar has been sitting low against the US, and adding political tensions at the border, many local shoppers say it's just not worth heading stateside right now.
Right now, the American dollar is worth $1.40 in Canadian, but that changes every day. In fact, it changes every hour.
Okay, I just realized this guy's from the University of Detroit, so I'm guessing he's a US citizen. No wonder he's putting so much emphasis on the exchange rate. Mr. Eisenhower, it's not the exchange rate. It's your damn president and your government. And yeah, of course the exchange rate changes every hour. In fact, it changes every second. I trade Forex on the side, so I know how the movement works. But that's not the reason I'm boycotting your fascist country. I did a quick Google search on this guy, and for someone who has a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD in economics, all of those years of studying to earn all those credentials, he still can't seem to figure out the real reason. I'm sure he's a smart guy, but when it comes to this topic, not even a PhD would help him understand. And I could not figure out who he voted for, but his answer kind of gives it away. This is really just another classic example of a US citizen projecting his own reasoning onto why Canadians are not going to the US. Your words, Mr. Eisenhower, do not speak for this Canadian. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with my little vent.
At Devonshire Mall, marketing manager Tina Asbrakis says that gap is helping draw more Americans over here, especially to stores like Lululemon.
Basically because it's the same price in Canadian and US. So when you come to Canada, let's just say tights that are $100 US, they are $100 Canadian. So then you save the $40 in exchange rate.
And as long as the dollar stays in this range, retailers expect to keep seeing more U.S. faces through the door.
So to see American shoppers coming back again, it's nice to see. I mean, we're neighbors, right?
Travis Fortnum, CTV News.
We might be neighbors, but the friendship is definitely tainted forever. And look, I'm glad to hear the US citizens are coming up to Canada to shop. And in the case of Lululemon, yeah, there's definitely some real savings there. So I do encourage US citizens to come up and visit. We've never had any issues with you visiting our country. But then again, we don't have ice roaming around the streets. The only ice we have is on the roads. That's it for today's video. If you found any value in what you just watched, hit the like and subscribe to help get this message out. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in the next one.